Jujutsu Kaisen, chapter 108, the Shibuya incident, part 26. So here, just an overview of the chapter. I don't know what this curse's name is. If they gave him a name, I forgot. But this like, I'm just gonna call him Cthulhu looking curse. Just call him Cthulhu for the sake of the show. So Cthulhu is fighting Maki, Nanami, and I forget what the other Zen'in's name is. But yeah, he opens up his domain expansion and basically decides like, oh, it's time to go in. He immediately takes out the biggest threats, which is like this Maki guy and or sorry, the Zen'in dude and Nanami, and then basically takes it kind of easy on Maki. Uh, at the end, they've basically just been kind of like, I wouldn't, they're not defeated, but just pushed far enough away to where they can't really interfere with the fight. Then
Right.
I felt like this random interruption out of nowhere of Megumi with his domain expansion, like it just kind of caught me out of nowhere. He pops up to help out a little bit. I don't see. Oh, I guess the effectiveness was that he gave her her special tool, her
Right.
special grade curse tool at the end. I didn't even notice that in the chapter. So to me, just rereading it. So that was pretty much his usefulness there, was showing up to drop off that item, and then I guess he dipped off or it realizes he probably can't play with it. So I'm excited to see what Maki is going to pull out in the next few chapters as far as like abilities go. I'm kind of a fan of these Nanami type of curse. I'll just call them Nanami types of curse users who basically don't have really any. They're just Astas. Like they don't have any curse ability or sorcerer aptitude. So they just pretty much pick weapons or fight with the hand. So far between Nanami and her, that I've enjoyed both of their fights that I've seen. So I'm interested to see what she's going to pull out.
True. No, I'm pretty much in like the same boat. Though I'm not gonna lie, still wanted. I'm I'm curious as far as to how they're gonna go with it, but I still wanted main Zennin homie to actually get the dub, cause like
Yeah.
after they like explained at least his ability a little bit, all I got was straight Byakugan vibes. And if you don't know, big Hyuga fan over here, so I wanted
Right.
to him to literally bust out these like chakra hits where he just like uses his hands and like his energy in that kind of sense, where like once he fights, he could just like inject possibly his
Mm.
energy, because I thought that would have been dope as far as at least like the hands they've been introducing. So I thought like his ability in itself to me is like kind of OP, considering how they explained the attacking prowess of this demon. So I mean, like, because from how they explained it, homie can literally like you don't realize you're. I'm trying to like word this right. It's like you're literally attacked before you're attacked. So,
Yeah.
I mean, as far as how they explained it, it was just so OP that in the sense that if you could defend that, then like your speed is like, I'm not gonna say like light speed, but it's almost like it's naturally preemptive in a way that you got like an ultimate defense. And the only thing that
Mm.
can really stop it is to be distracted from what I see. But in my opinion, I still think that's kind of BS based on how they were
Yeah.
explaining it earlier. But I'm gonna chalk that up to just I don't have a full understanding of all the powers and just basic jujutsu confusion, I guess, if you would.
That's
But
a
that
fact.
just makes me more excited for the anime.
I
So
just had
it's
to reread this just to even get what you were talking about. Like I went back and I was like, wait, can't miss attack. And then I'm like reading, I'm like, oh yo, this is definitely crazier than I thought. Because I was the first time I read this, I was having trouble understanding like why they were having such difficulty with this dude. But then as I was like rereading the abilities, because I was reading this in the car when I read it the first
mhm,
time, so I was just skimming through. But
right.
now when I'm actually taking the time to read, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, like dude was broken. Like the fact that the attack, like you said, it doesn't show up till
Like
you pretty much can't dodge it. Like it just
right.
shows up at the moment. I don't even
Right.
know
Like
how
it
they're gonna be
doesn't
able to find out
exist
the
until the attack is already through. And that's what doesn't make
yeah,
sense to me. Like, how does that, like, what? I mean, like, how do you
yeah,
defend
hashtag
against that?
Jujutsu Kaisen.
So, in my opinion, so like after I saw that, and then the fact that he was able to defend against that, I was like, oh, this
Yeah.
guy's broken. I was like, holy
Oh
crap.
yeah.
I'm like, that's literally amazing. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, this guy's about to do work, but then he gets slapped. And I was like, okay. So like I'm a little confused as far as to how they're gonna show the entirety of the battle. Granted, I'm not against Maki showing up and doing work. Don't get me
Right.
wrong. It's just that they introduced to me like such an OP character that for his intro fight, him getting like completely slapped at this point is like it's kind of like underwhelming, right? It's almost
Yeah.
like he deserves a battle of his own, and then Maki deserves a W2. So them
Yeah.
combining it makes me feel a certain way. So we'll see. But like overall, I was pretty satisfied. I will say I was with you in of Megumi showing up. Like it would have been more dope if Maki just like had the tools and like said, "Oh snap, I actually got to bust out these tools now,"
Right.
instead of him showing up to give her the tools. I thought that was a little
Yeah.
unnecessary,
He seemed kind of
especially
pointless.
right, especially if they do the whole if they actually have Megumi like staying in the battle and actually helping them. Because I'm
Yeah.
actually I don't want that. Like they should just focus on these three. You already got three pretty big heavy hitters. You don't need
Right.
another.
And
So
even with Megumi, it's like I feel like he got a power up the last arc,
true.
and sure they could maybe give him another one this one, but I felt like after what we saw Yuji do, which I don't notice anything that he did in his fight versus the blood guy as a power up. I'm assuming Megumi also didn't really get anything. It's just the fact that he's like has more control of the domain expansion.
Mhm.
Um, so like for me, yeah, I totally agree with the fact that like I would rather he just was there to do that and dip. I don't see the point why he showed up anyways. But if he starts helping the fight, I think it's gonna take away from appreciating Maki's thing because
Right.
I feel like even though Megumi is a sorcerer, his fight is very like close range as well with the animals, and it can be. I just feel like it can take away from a fist kind of fight. Um, I just like his fights more when I don't even like his fights much, but I like them more when it's just him, because then you can appreciate what he's doing and like what it means. But if it's just like a pair fight, it's basically just going to be him spamming a bunch of animals, and
Mhm.
like you don't have any appreciation for the animals, why they're there, or how they're helping in the fight. When it's just him, then the writer takes the time to have the villain go, "Oh, he pulled out this wolf specifically for X Y Z."
Right.
Reason. You know what I'm saying? So you
It's
can
all
put more
part of the
respect into
strats.
it.
Yep.
Yeah, but in this one, I doubt they're gonna do it like that. It's just gonna be, oh, here's Max Elephant. It's like, oh, dude just threw a big elephant at me, dodge, and then like Maki is gonna like, you know what I'm saying, back up. Because that's how it went with Yuji. It was
Yeah.
mostly like just their strategy and him spamming big animals, and then they beat him that way. But it wasn't like anything special for Megumi himself, I felt.
No, that's true. That's all true. I mean, again, like especially like considering you already have big hitters there. I mean, you
Yeah.
got Nanami, you got the head of the Zen'in clan. So
Yeah.
like, y'all
He
don't need
needed
to
to meet
like
his
pump
dad.
up. What?
I would have preferred if he just met his dad and got dropped by him. Because I mean,
Oh,
he's not going to win the fight versus his dad.
yeah.
But at least if he met him, I felt like it'd mean more. One, for his character, and two, for that would like make him interesting again to me. Because after the domain expansion, that was like the last time I remember being interested in his character. I was like, oh, cool, he has a move, but I still didn't even get that. And even here, that's my problem with jujitsu. Is like I'm really hoping the anime takes the time to explain this confusion with domains, bro, because it's just like people spam this domain expansion move, but they never like he took the time to explain this move, right? But it's still like I still feel like it's not. I don't feel like I fully understand what it means. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
No,
Like
I
I'm just like,
got you.
okay, so he like even right now when they were trying to explain the nuances of simple domain and what dude was doing, I was like,
Mhm.
all right, yeah, but I still always feel like there's a core understanding of the domain concept missing in my mind that keeps me from like truly understanding what the fuck the author's saying. It's like I get it, but I don't feel like I get it to the way where I can explain it. I feel like I get it for the context of being able to move past and understand what's going on in that moment, but not like, oh, if somebody asks me like, oh, so explain this domain concept. I just be like, I don't know, bro. They just make this big ass space that looks like what they feel like they want it to look like, and then stuff happens inside of the space that doesn't have like a source really. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It comes from a core to their sorcerer ability, but they don't really explain what that core is. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because outside of the domain, like dude's thing was like shadows or whatever. Like, and it's like, okay, I guess I get it kind of from your core. of how you summon the animals. I guess they're coming through shadow, so I get it. But it's like a very like loose string. It's
Yeah.
not like, yeah, I totally understand this, why this is your domain expansion, or how you can, I don't know, expand this expansion, for lack of a better word, into something better. Like I don't get that part.
Yeah, I think they'll be able to highlight that better in the anime as far as like when they I feel like a lot of clarity will come from the actual activation of a domain expansion. Because like
Right.
I like because right now it's pretty much like how you described it, like how I'm picturing it is like how to really phrase it. It's like it's kind of like your power aura, I guess you could say, like in DBZ, where if you power up, you got like you see like this light or like power, like this energy around you, and like the domain expansion is just a subtle version of that, but also a more hardcore version of that in the sense of like you immediately expand all your energy to do X, Y, or Z in this limited range. And as long as you keep outputting energy, those conditions will continue to be met. Like that's my like best way to describe it.
Yeah.
So if they show that in the sense of like domain expansion and like you see all this like energy or like the actual formulation of the domain expansion originating from your body, then I think that'll just be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Or if it
Yeah.
just straight pops up out of nowhere, they just like change the background to whatever like your domain expansion being. I'm just like, oh,
Right.
snap, okay.
See, and I think
Like
what
I think that
what
like that in itself would be able to explain a little bit, or at least be able to grasp what exactly is happening,
right,
because
and
it's definitely still confusing to me too.
what just came to mind when you said that was like law, and I think those are the same things that affect
Oh, true.
under the understanding of law's room as well, which is like, okay, to what degree does the ability to do whatever you want affect a person, right? Or to what class of person does this apply to, right? Because obviously, domain expansion, this can't miss attack. Like the weakest sorcerer, like might get a one hit KO from it because
Right.
they, like in the beginning, we're seeing like these two, which are close. One's a level, whatever the high grade sorcerer. The other one is like basically a high grade sorcerer, and it's like they get damaged. But like the question becomes like, was he aiming at a different spot? Like, what if they were weaker? Would they have like died immediately from something like this? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't
Yeah.
know. We don't know to what degree the full control, like how much your skill as a character plays into how much the domain expansion affects you. And then now people go like, well, to counter your domain, I now have like these three options. I do like a simple domain. I create my own domain within your domain, and if my domain is stronger, it somehow works like what Gojo did. And then
Right.
now this technique that Dude did, which is like more of an internal art, like where you kind of just shield yourself with what I'm assuming is basically like a domain. It's just like a domain shield kind of, where it's like,
Yeah.
well, I'm in your domain, but like I I have another room inside your room that says no. Like
Right. Kind of like
but just
kind
on
of
a
for
smaller
using other
degree.
shows, kind of like Nin, right? Like
Yeah,
how when Gon and Killua first had to go through the hallway up in the tournament age, and like Hisoka said, "Bro, you're gonna need Nin to get through this," so they made their own Nin shield. So like that's pretty much like the same concept, I guess, too.
right. And it's like I sort of get it, but it's just it like if it had like a book to like explain it, I just feel like the manga doesn't do it justice to explain it. I feel like these
Yeah.
types of power concepts, they like literally need like an accompaniment, like a side
Yeah.
thing that's just like, here's the power system. Because
No, you're
over
right.
the, I don't know how many chapters they're gonna go with this, but if they're going like high level with this, then maybe we'll get the explanation as time goes on. But it's like he's kind of like he didn't lay these concepts out piece by piece. It was literally like arc by arc. He just added another layer without really explaining the layer before it. It was like, hey, people have these sorcerer powers. Okay, what's the source? How do they learn this? Like, how did Megumi get shadow powers? Why didn't he get like the blood powers like old dude got or something like that? You know what I'm saying? They just randomly pop up like Nen. But you know, with Nen, they actually took the time to go, hey, here's the different classes of Nen. This is what you can lean towards, and kind of like based off of your personal preferences, that's why your things look like this. And now these people who have nens that don't make sense to us, well, we just call them specialists. And like given that context was like, okay, now I have something to understand why somebody like Hisoka or somebody like Lucifer exists, because they're just randoms. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It just seemed like he goes up and down like with the power structure. Sometimes he's like all the way up with new concepts, and then sometimes he goes back to the fundamentals and kind of like fills in the holes of like a missing piece. And I don't know, maybe they'll take more time to like put respect on it in the whatever in the anime. I just if he did that, I think this would take it would. I'm already into the show, but I feel like it would just make it that much better for me if I felt like I could really understand what's going on with the fights.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, you pretty much said it all.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I'm like, I mean, low key, if they're doing it like as a tactic to get you super excited for the anime, then it's working. Because I mean, that's just, I mean, again, just another reason why I'm so pumped for the anime. Because like one, I mean, the hands and the action is gonna be dope. Two, to give some big ups to like the Mappa Studio, like just because it's from them, I know it's gonna be dope. And then three, just being able to effing fully understand what's all going down. I mean, like I know, like reading the manga, we already know what's gonna happen, but at the same time, we're gonna be able to get this clarity now. It just makes it feel refreshing when we see the same thing over again. So,
Right.
I mean, if that's part of their strats, then bravo, it's working. So,
Yeah. And it, oh man, I just gotta stop. But the one other part, because I'll go on for hours about the questions I have here. But the one thing I did want to bring up, that I noticed about this dude's domain expansion is, doesn't it look very very similar to where Ghetto and the crew hang out? Like I'm very curious as to if they have been hanging out in his domain expansion this whole time as their hideout. Because remember, like when we used to go back and forth
oh
to
no,
them,
I know what you're
they were
talking
like
about. And
hanging
like,
out on this beach.
right, it was like that. Like they entered it via like an apartment door or something, right? And
Yeah.
homie was just chilling on the beach. Yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about.
So I'm
Yeah, if
curious if this
around,
was Jude's
maybe.
domain expansion because it looks very similar to what they were chilling on, at least in my opinion. So
No, you're right. You're right. From what I remember,
like,
it's at least pretty. I mean, it has that, island, sea, beach kind of concept. So,
right.
I mean, it could just, be a coincidence, I suppose. But no, I mean, that's a good point. They could have. Granted, it would be the only thing would be curious about is like because like don't forget this this I want to say demon, but I feel like that's the wrong word. But in any case, this entity here, like don't forget it technically evolved, right? Like mid
Yeah.
battle, the battle actually started. So I mean, I guess he could have still had his domain expansion even back then, but snap. I mean, if that's the case, then I guess like this guy does deserve to have the 3-on-1 because he's ready for the smoke if he had the
Yeah.
domain expansion for that long ago. So but yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, even you saying that just brought up another thing about the demons, but I'm just gonna have to let it go for this chapter. Like, I don't know how I'll end up doing it. If I'll just make a separate like video to like walk through this or what, but it needs more. It just needs more. And I just it's not I wouldn't call any of this stuff plot hole, so to speak. It's just things that either aren't explained yet, not explained well, or um like kind of are like intentionally left vague.
Yeah.
Um and I just go like I don't know what's you need it just needs time. And like I
Yeah.
said, and like you said, the anime will hopefully make it all make sense, like the way it was able to do for Hunter x Hunter. Because I think
True.
the main issue here is, oh man, I'm sorry to go into it, but I'll keep it one sentence. The main issue here is that I think with Jujutsu Kaisen, it's basically like trying to be the Hunter x Hunter anime in manga form. So they don't spend a lot of the time with the exposition. It's mostly 1 or 2 sentences to explain the complicated things that are going on. And I'm like, with Hunter x Hunter, you could spend the whole thing reading, like just reading words. Like you were basically reading a book chapter that just happened to have some pictures, just
That's
for them
true.
to explain the exposition. And it wouldn't even be fight sometimes. This is just the
Yeah.
exposition of thought process or how they're going to move in a particular situation. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, Jujutsu Kaisen like takes that and they're like, oh, how can I keep this to 1 sentence? And I'm like, it's not. It just doesn't work. It works because I'm still reading, but it just like it doesn't hit the same.
Yeah. Like they just haven't found that perfect balance yet, I guess you could say.
Right.
Yeah. But I hear you.
Yeah, it's getting there though. Like, don't for anyone listening, like, don't get me wrong. This shit is good. Like, I'm definitely enjoying reading every
Oh yeah,
chapter.
without a doubt.
It's just I want to take it to like a level of where I just won't stop recommending it, kind of thing. And I feel like I'm not there yet because the fights are not there yet for me.
Mm-hmm.
I recommend it to most people, but I'm not like out there like this could be my top 5 series. That's the way I'm trying to say it.
True.
If they can do the fights right in this series, it can definitely jump up to like my top 10, top 5 series of all time. If they do it right.
True. I mean, I definitely see that potential. Like the hands are there as far as at least so far of how I understand the power concept is there. The plot as far as like how they're doing it, I definitely see the potential with that. No, I mean I mean like one, it's already a good series and they have the potential to keep it going, like based on
Right.
how they're doing it.
It
So
can
no, I
definitely be one of
definitely
the
see.
long running ones.
You know, it could definitely stand as like a strong, long running kind of anime manga series. So
Right.
yeah, no, I see it. Like I feel like all it really needs again is just like all they need is to make the first season of the anime good, and this will start to be like on the cover. Like this is gonna get hot quick, in my opinion.
Right.
So all they got to do is like make sure they really do deliver with the anime season one, and maybe like after that, they'll since they'll get like a more audience fan base, maybe they could correct how they're doing some of the manga as far as like how they're explaining the concepts and like plot. So I mean, we could definitely see these series like straight evolve as we have for like any long running series, whether it be like Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, just to name a few, as far as like how it started out, how it talked about things, how it explained action, blah blah blah, and then just see it evolve through time. So I mean, again, the potential is there. We just got to see what happens.
All right. Okay. Well, I guess we're good to rate it, right?
Oh yeah, we do rate this. That was fun.
I think it's tough. I'm stuck between decent as hell to decent plus. I think I'm gonna go decent plus on this one. Mostly because I felt like the Megumi part was pointless. While I do think Dude's domain expansion was pretty dope, it's just for me personally, it's just I can't get 100% behind the fights every time. I felt like I'm always kind of like 80% in, so I just can't appreciate it yet. But I do think that the next chapter is probably going to, if they continue with this battle, the next chapter will probably get like a decent as hell or higher from me, like because I think Maki's gonna turn up. So
Mm-hmm. Um, this is hmm hmm. This is actually kind of tough for me. Um, I would probably give it a decent. I would have originally gave it a decent as hell, maybe a decent as hell minus. But the two negative things for me that hit was one, again, as you mentioned, the unnecessary introduction of Megumi in here to give her the tool. I think like as long if she already had that, then like again, like him needing to be there literally was pointless, other
yep.
than just to like show a shift of hope, I guess, if you would. But they didn't really like get rid of all the positivity or hope, considering it's all happened in one chapter. Like maybe if the entire chapter was then getting slapped, and then like at the beginning of the next chapter, Megumi shows up just to give the tool, just be like, "Hey, here's your tool, real quick." Just be like, "Oh, okay." Here now they're gonna start like the come up. But now it just seemed, I don't know, it's like them putting at the end of the chapter just made it seem like they're trying to nonchalantly say, "Yo, Maki, go to work," when they could have did that a little differently. I don't think that was finessed properly. That was the one negative, and two, the negative of how they did my boy Dirty, the head of the Zen'in clan, so quickly, considering how OP they were making him look. I mean, giving him a challenge is one thing, but I mean, they pretty much just slapped this kid as soon as they started to get introduced, like why he's so OP, which in my opinion was kind of redonkulous, especially now that I'm like thinking about this guy as like, a Hyuga, and disrespect the Byakugan in front of my face without me saying nothing. I gotta say something. I'm sorry. So them doing my guy dirty like that, I didn't really like that. But I mean, overall, the action again good, hands good. I mean, as far as like this demon, like his power goes, he's legit. He's up there. I mean,
Right.
like he's got like a OP attacking ability, and he's got the hands to back it up. So I mean, again, big ups. Like the villain or like this demon itself looks pretty effing strong. So I'll at least like not go under a decent because of that. But those two negatives at least like got me out the decent as hell. And right now I can only give it a decent at the moment.
Yeah.
Granted, if Maki turns up next chapter, that'll probably be a decent as hell. So we'll see.